Hey guys, ignore this video is like months late, but finally, Peacemaker Season 2, let's talk about it. For context, yes, I watched the series as it came out. I finished it, I believe it ended in October, and my plan was, let's record this video soon, I'm gonna write the script soon, get it out real quick, like normal YouTubers do. I did not do that. As you can tell, it is December, and yeah, no, that's an L. That is an L, because unfortunately, even while, no, you don't forget everything about a series after a month and a half. There is some nuance lost the farther separated you are from something. So yeah, I wrote a bunch of stuff down that I could just off of what I could remember earlier today, and now I'm recording it, I'm talking about it, maybe I'll remember a couple things as well. But don't expect a perfect review mentioning every single little detail, because, like I said, it's been a couple months, so, you know, it is what it is. But also, I want to keep this video as short as possible because I'm hella behind on reviews. But I think there's still plenty to talk about and actual dialogue, so it's okay. I think this will still be good. I just might not mention everything that I should. I'll probably look back on this video later and be like, fuck, I forgot something important. But it is what it is. I'll throw it in the comments. Or we could always talk about other stuff in the comments if you want. But let's get into it. Starting off, Season 2. Super hype going into it. Love Season 1. Love everything James Gunn's been doing with the DC Universe. Liked Creature Commandos a lot. And yeah, just really hyped for this. We got a new opening. That was peak. Loved that. And also, mild spoilers ahead. I'm going to try not to do anything crazy, but besides the ending of episode 7, I guess. I don't know. I'll let you know when I talk about it, but I'm not going to worry about spoilers too much here. It's a season 2 of a series. If you're watching this, I'm assuming you watch season 1. Why would you watch season 1 then not watch season 2? So, mild spoilers. The series begins by showing us a retcon of the ending of season 1. You know, it's the same thing, but instead of the DCEU Justice League, as you know, if you've seen the series, we got the Justice Gang from the Superman movie. And that was a very clever retcon. And yes, while comics are too into their retcons and all this other stuff to the point where it gets all convoluted and shit, this is an example of like the classic comic retcon at its best, if that makes sense. Like, this was just really easy, plug them in and not make it too complicated, and I think that was done very well. While we're here, I guess we can talk about cameos real quick, because we did get a proper Justice Gang cameo in the first episode, and that was really entertaining and really funny. Nothing too consequential to the series. But also we got the Lex cameo, and that was a good cameo because it was a proper world building setup thing while still pertaining to Peacemaker as a series, with the whole Rick Flag thing and Chris and that kind of beef, or one-sided beef, I should say. I mean, he killed his son, so I don't blame him, but you know what I mean. So while it still matters to this series, it also matters to Superman and stuff, because it's Lex, and it kind of towards that. So there is a good win-win situation there without getting too heavy into setting up for future stories territory, because a lot of superhero media tends to do that. Now, another thing that a lot of superhero media tends to do not well is multiverse. At the end of the day, it is an amazing outlet to showcase a character study, basically. And what I mean by this is when it's done right. Now, as media consumers, but especially and specifically comic book media consumers, we've seen a lot of ass multiverse stuff, whether it be comic events or movies that kind of miss the point. Yes, cameos are fun. Crossovers are fun. But that shouldn't be the main focus or the big pull to sell people on this being a thing worth consuming. Does that make sense? Multiverse stories, in my humble opinion, are at their best when you use these other universes' versions of the central character to highlight why our version of said character is special. It doesn't have to always just be showcasing what the MC is special, but that's just the easiest and most common way you'll see this done. Not just the MC, it could be like why this version of the group of characters, or why this world is special, kind of like what Peacemaker does. It's more about the environment as opposed to the character in said environment, especially considering that universe's Peacemaker dies very quickly. But yeah, just kind of like how your environment makes you. But all in all, it kind of leads back to the same thing of like, while it's exciting to see all these different versions of everything, why is ours important? You know, and I think that's generally my favorite version of the multiverse trope. Oh yeah, an easy example that's not actually comic book media, but Everything Everywhere All at Once, a movie that a lot of the general population saw, and not just film buffs that enjoyed it a lot. Very filmy, artsy, you know, but every now and then a movie like that will still get a huge public audience, and that one was a very great example of that. Obviously, another easy example would be Spider-Verse, especially within the comic media. Invincible does it well too. I'm probably forgetting another easy multiverse example. If any of you comment Doctor Strange, I'm gonna have a fucking aneurysm. but I think I've got my point across. With that very long introduction to this point, my actual point is that Peacemaker does the multiverse trope wonderfully, and also in the funniest fucking way ever. We not only get Chris facing his demons both through his brother and his dad throughout the season, because obviously brother died when he was young, he blames himself, and his dad died, and I mean, he did do that as well, so not just blames himself, but he did actively do it. At least with the brother, you could say his dad made him do it or whatever, but that's besides the point. And this is also kind of a complicated thing because, yeah, his dad's not a great person, right? He's a racist, he's an asshole, and just a terrible person. But love is a weird thing. This is his dad. This is someone that has raised him. And no, I'm not saying just because someone's your family, you have to back them and love them or whatever. But Chris did look up to him. He did have that kind of ignorance that we'll talk about later and like kind of believing in him. And while he recognizes these things about his dad, I mean, hell, he's the one who killed him. He can still miss him. Like, that is just kind of human nature. It's gonna happen. So it is kind of a complicated thing, right? Because he sees this guy and yeah, I mean, he was already getting haunted by his actions of killing him, and it's just gonna fuel that even more. So seeing him along with his brother and like losing himself in this versions of things where, you know, Hardcourt likes him, everyone loves Peacemaker, it's the perfect world. It is enticing to him. Obviously, we'll talk about the German influence stuff later because that's obviously terrible. But throughout everything, I think it really showcases why the grass isn't always greener on the other side, despite initial introduction. I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but I don't know, just the way that we see it. Like, despite us being like, oh, this might look good, it's not. Once you experience it. And even with that joke being as funny as it is, it also serves as a pretty good showcase of ignorance. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, because of how Chris not only being white, but being raised by the racist asshole that we just talked about, his dad, and was probably racist himself due to said ignorance, whether he meant it or not. I mean, he is literally called the racist superhero at the start of the series. Yeah, maybe it's not that surprising that he didn't notice the lack of POC or somehow the giant Hitler mural. Although that one's kind of stretching it, but jokes aside, that is a huge aspect of this version of Peacemaker. He is barely just now putting in the effort into being a better person post the Suicide Squad and kind of realizing these things about himself that maybe aren't that great. And he still has a ways to go, but he is putting in that effort, and that's a huge plot thing. And while this is a very exaggerated kind of joke, I guess, I don't even know if I want to say exaggerated because, yeah, in a dark timeline, I guess maybe this could happen. I wouldn't want to think that could happen, but humans are fucking terrible people. And the fact that Nazism stuff exists in the first place is just fucking crazy. So I'm not going to put humans past doing something like that. So exaggerated might not be the right word. Sorry, I'm stuttering at how fucking crazy it is. But even though while this is like this crazy, funny, big, elaborate kind of meme setup joke, it is still very intentional with how it supports Chris's character. And along with that, that reveal was gradual and amazing in its own right, whether you noticed or not. I was someone who did notice the lack of melanin on screen, and also saw the community's kind of response to that in the few episodes leading up to it. It was super funny. We're just all kind of like, oh my god, what the hell is coming in the episodes coming up? So not only was the community discussion awesome there, but it was awesome every week in general. Because it'd be a little weird if this was the only time that the community discussion was awesome, but it was for the entire series. Now, not getting a GI Robot cameo is unfortunately going to knock off some points for this season for me. Major L here, sadly. I got a lot of random things to yap about before I talk about the last episode. Just kind of scrambled thoughts on characters and stuff. I wrote down, scene with Adebayo and her girl was insane. Yeah, no, that was a very touching moment, a very mature conversation and separation, you know? Something really nice to see in my superhero media. I don't know. It was just very real, very raw. And you know, I thought that was a very valid kind of conclusion of their characters as of now. Any emotional moment in this show, to be honest, is amazing. It handles relationships very well, like I was just saying. But also, Chris and Hardcourt's whole plot is good. I'm not going to get into a lengthy section about that. I'm trying to keep the video short, and you already know what I'm talking about. But this is just me rambling. Other little things to mention. I'm probably going to leave out something, but I'm trying to remember as much as possible. Seeing Rick Flag Jr. was fucking nice. I missed him. One of the DCEU characters I really liked, and I'm glad he was in the Suicide Squad. And his dad was here, but I didn't really like him in this, so job well done. Which is funny, because I liked him in Creature Commandos a lot, but he's the antagonist now. He's not the protagonist, so screw him. John's acting has only gotten better, and for a character-driven season, he delivered. One moment that I wanted to bring up this whole time is the end of episode 7, I think it was, where, huge spoilers, so skip like 30 seconds if you don't want it, where his brother got killed. And, you know, he's screaming and like, get off him. Like, that moment was so passionately delivered. A word I'm gonna bring up again, raw and real. Like, it was just so, it was almost uncomfortable, right? That moment sticks with me more than any other moment of this series, outside of maybe some of like the more comedic ones. But in terms of like, just holy shit, what did I just watch? Like, that was nuts. That was so outside of your usual character death. I don't know. I don't even know how to put it into words. That was just really well done. I mean, once again, bringing the thing with earlier, his brother's not a good person. He's not. I mean, he's racist as fuck. He literally went, you know, one escaped to when he saw Adebayo. Like, that was fucking terrible. But at the same time, we gotta remember, Chris has this trauma. He likens this version of his brother to his actual brother. And just overall, that love that he has for him, whether he's a good person or not. I mean, seeing your brother die is fucking crazy, right? So, I'm not going to be someone who's going to be like, oh, he's not allowed to grieve his brother's death because he was a bad person or something. Like, I don't even know if I want to say it's more nuanced than that, because it's not even that nuanced. I feel like it's a pretty common thing to just use your brain for. I don't know. But I feel like there's probably someone out there that's like, why is he sad? His brother wasn't a good person. His dad wasn't a good person. Well, it's like, we are human, right? Like, we are human. A new character this season that I loved, that I absolutely loved, was Langston Fury. Is that how you say his name? Langston something. I don't know, something like that. But the bird blindness guy. That was one of my favorite jokes of this series. And it led into other things that I really liked, but his character was so funny the whole time. He was a douchebag, but he was a funny douchebag. And with that, the whole Eagly reveal, but also the guy who was hunting Eagly, that whole thing, which you'd think is just a joke at first, like he thinks Eagly is this fucking like god eagle thing, but you can never put it past James Gunn to play a joke extremely straight and make it not a joke, because Eagly at the end was this goated thing. It was a very cool moment, and I forgot the exact like lore repercussions of that, but I remember seeing like videos talking about like why this is like super nuts or something for the overall DC universe, whatever. Like I said, nuance gets lost when you don't do a review for 2 fucking months, because you just forget about shit. I've been consuming so much media since then. I've been on all the new anime and all the other comics and all the other shit and all the movies. I'm about to go see FNAF 2 tomorrow. I just saw Wicked for like the 5th time. I still gotta see Zootopia 2. And you want me to remember about Peacemaker 2 months ago because it's all this shit coming out? I'm sorry. So this is a very weird review for me, but we're gonna get through it together. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of moments that I definitely missed off the top of my head, but if you want to mention something in the comments, we could definitely talk about it. I'll be like, oh yeah, that fucking exists. So now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the last episode. I've had time to sit with it a bit longer than I probably should have before making this video. For me, without the very last scene, I honestly wouldn't have minded 2 ending points, whether either episode 7 being the end with some sort of like small epilogue, I guess, rather than just cutting it off there, or the final episode being the same way it was up until the very ending with Chris being shown on that other world or other landscape. I'm pretty sure it's another world. It's like the whole based off that one comic with the whole dinosaur ship or whatever. I don't know. I haven't seen whatever comes next, so I don't know exactly. Even with the whole 40-minute music video critique that a lot of people had on the last episode, I kind of enjoyed that vibe. And the whole showing of the 11th Street Kids' new setup was just really optimistic and hopeful, even if it was a little fast. But maybe that's why I just don't love the abrupt tonal shift that succeeded it to end the show off. Like, I'm sure whether it was teasing season 3 or a different project, it will be a good project. It's just, it felt out of place here. And I don't know, because endings like that are hit or miss for me. I do sometimes see the value in cutting off a happy moment to show, like, oh shit, it's not, and then ending it. But, I don't know. Maybe it's because from breaking the fourth wall here, but, like, we know there's not going to be a season 3, or at least it hasn't been confirmed to be. Like, James Gunn kind of made it seem like this is it. So it's like knowing this will just be in something else, and this is like DC world building as opposed to Peacemaker world building. I don't know. So maybe it's an outside thing having an effect on that thought process, or maybe it is just the vibe is a little weird. The pacing and the structure here maybe is a little crazy. All I know is that I'm not alone in this, because that was a lot of people's biggest criticism of this series, I think, or one of them. So I don't want to spend the whole video talking about like 2 minutes of a show that I absolutely love the other hours and hours of. It's just something that, like I said, everyone was conversing about, and I thought it would be worth bringing up because it is kind of unfortunate. I'm not saying I have like the solution here. Let's say that ending, that last scene or whatever, is the introduction to another thing instead of the ending to this, and that was like the first scene of something, the opening scene of something. I don't know if the weight would still be there because this is very made to be a cliffhanger. Obviously, if it's the start of something, it wouldn't be a cliffhanger. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm not the person here. But at the same time, I think could have done something else, I guess. I don't know. Another couple things I wanted to mention real quick, because this review is all over the place. Comedy, amazing. Obviously. Music, amazing. Obviously. Music especially, you don't need me to talk about it. Go watch James Gunn's Peacemaker podcast, where they talk about it every fucking week that the series came out. And they did all of season 1 as well. Just wanted to throw that out there. Shout out to that great podcast with amazing guests and all that. They can explain the music way better than I can explain it. Another thing, another little, I'm trying to sprinkle in all of the like aspects of the series here. The action was amazing too. There we go. Am I missing anything? I don't know. Now let's move on. We're gonna end it off soon here. But I must apologize once again for procrastinating. But with my limited remembrance, I hope that I got points across that added to the dialogue in a way that makes sense and matters. Even if I kind of said a whole lot of nothing, at least I feel like I did. I don't know. I'm being very harsh on myself here because this review could have just been so much better. But let's get out of here. Let's end this video off. So to end it off, yeah, not a perfect season. Still really, really, really good. But I don't know if this is just me ramblings of a madman here. I don't know if James is overworked or whatever. I mean, he's working on all these movies and projects at the same time and is the head of DC. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it, but you know, quality can suffer in the face of quantity. Not for a lack of trying. This man will never not put his all into a project. It just happens sometimes, you know? But I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer and act like I didn't have a fun-ass 8 weeks with this show just because a few minutes of it threw me off. Because it's one thing for actual criticism and for those who already had these consistent critical opinions. But I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I remember the last episode, low-key people were switching up on this show hard just because of the ending. Like, we don't have to pretend the whole thing is ass all of a sudden just because you don't like the ending. Now, don't get me wrong, there are instances where the ending could, like, ruin the whole purpose of a show or ruin the whole message of the show or change up, whatever. But this isn't that. This is more of just, like, weird timing and showcasing of something that's to come that we just didn't really need to see yet. So it didn't, like, backtrack the themes or whatever. It wasn't like that awful. But yeah, no, it wasn't perfect. Now, once again, if you have an actual like reasonable opinion with reasoning and you could explain it outside of just the ending, I don't know, maybe the pacing, maybe you didn't like the lack of the 11th Street kids in the season and those other characters, maybe you had a problem with certain, I don't know, motives and stuff. That's different, but just switching up randomly otherwise is kind of wild. But also, do what you want. It's your life. I will say, though, it does make me wonder, now that a couple months have passed, what are people's sentiments towards this show now? Because it's very easy to be reactionary, especially when you're having community dialogues week by week. I'm not someone who normally looks through a bunch of, like, threads or comments on different things on new stuff as it's coming out, because I already just yap to the void of the camera and then leave it there. And it's honestly better for my mental health anyways. But Peacemaker was one where I was having a lot of fun looking at theories, looking at week by week things. And sometimes you get reactionary because maybe what you thought was going to happen didn't happen. But in this case, it wasn't even that. Like, it wasn't like, oh, Superman didn't show up, this shit is ass. It was really, once again, a very reasonable thing of, like, not liking the ending. But I do wonder how people think about it now with a couple months to sit on it. I don't know. I still overall have a very favorable look on the series. So I'm not going to say it was bad or not worth watching. If somehow you made it to this point in the video and you're wondering if it's worth watching, it still is for sure. And it's still one of, like, the best superhero media out there right now. I just ended up talking too long about the one part that people didn't like. And I always feel bad when I do that because I like to focus more on celebrating the good than kind of shitting on the bad. But, you know, shit happens. You just got to get some toilet paper and clean it up. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna edit this video for a few days before it coming out, so maybe I'll throw like more shit at the end here of yapping about different stuff that I remember. But for now, if this is it, goodbye, and I hope you enjoyed the video, even if it was shit. Comment the worst moment of this video, and if there's any other stuff you want to hear my thoughts on, you can comment it, and we'll talk about that. Like, I don't know, maybe you want to know what my thoughts are on Lex Luthor seeing a guy get butt fucked in prison. I don't know. Whatever the fuck you want to talk about. Just, yeah, we can talk about it. Because there is a lot more discussion that could have probably been had, but the game's a game. I gotta get this video out, or else I'm never gonna get it out. In the past, I've just waited too long to do reviews and just throwing them away. I'm not doing that. I'm not letting myself get away with this bullshit. So that's why we're recording this. Have a great day. Subscribe if you're new, and goodbye. Peace.